Hey guys, it's Jake from ShortOneGaming. So, this semester I'm taking a course called Video Games and Learning. Shout out to Barry Fishman, who's probably watching this, baffled by the fact that his weird musical theater student not only has a video game channel, but also apparently no life. For an assignment in class, I thought that I'd discuss something that's interested me for a while, and because it has to do with video games, I thought this would be the coolest way to kind of share my thoughts. So you've all probably seen videos around YouTube that look like this. But that made me think, is 15 minutes actually enough time to fully get a feel for what a game is gonna be? Most games start with tutorials or cinematic cutscenes or character creation. You know, something before you start your journey as Vangwar the Conqueror or whatever hasn't been taken on World of Warcraft yet. The way video games start is incredibly important. It affects exactly what the player is going to expect from the rest of the game. I'll talk about it a lot throughout my ravings, but there's this amazing lecture by Ian Milham, the director of Dead Space, talking about the creation of Dead Space 2 and the importance of a game's opening. In his speech, he says, in the first couple levels, you want to set people's opinions about what your game is. He further elaborates by sharing a story about this screenshot here. In the lecture, Milham brings up that when you're playing a realistic shooter, one of the very first things that you ask yourself is this going to be pretty? This screenshot is one of the first things that you see when booting up Dead Space 2. Milham recalls that he made a request of his team to add round objects on the desk. At this point, making perfectly round objects was really hard for game graphics, so putting multiple of them in one of the first shots that a player sees shows how innovative and beautiful the game's going to be. And it worked. Dead Space 2 achieved critical success across the board, a lot of which for its art direction. Like, look at this review. Isn't this a good review? Yeah, look at that review, talking about art. Oh, they love Dead Space art. Also, really quickly, you guys like these APA citations I'm putting down there? Professor Fishman, I'm about 50% certain I might be using these citations correctly, and I am liking my odds. So, Milham's lecture made me think. How do other games execute their first 15 minutes? What choices do the game developers make? Do they open with a grandiose, amazing cinematic adventure? Or some sort of tutorial? Or I don't know, character creation or something like that? What do the game's developers think is the most important thing to show the player right off the bat? So, I'm going to be playing the first 15 minutes of a couple different games and analyzing exactly what happens to introduce the player to the world of the game. And with that, off we go! The Last Guardian is the third game developed by Team Ico, released December 2016. The game hinges on controlling a young boy trying to escape from imprisonment with his new bestest bud, Trico. Trico? No clue. But Trico, just like every other pet I've ever owned, is annoying, undependable, a bit gassy, and interested in absolutely nothing I have to provide for it other than food. Which, in this game, is like butterflies or something? Once again, no clue. So, we start out with this neat glowing object and the sound of children playing. Oh man, that grass is so damn pretty. Oh look, some mysterious figure found the object. I wonder what that might— and BAM! The Last Guardian logo, and then pretty piano music begins. Cool. That's cool. And this music is cool. And then we see, like, sketches and stuff for, like, 2 minutes. See, what's so funny about this is that it goes against so many concepts immediately. The art style for the opening credits is nothing like the art style for the rest of the game. I say this, however, with full knowledge that when I first played the beginning of this game with my sister Gina, we both immediately marveled at how beautiful and mood-setting the opening credits were. So, clearly they knew what they were doing in some way. And come on, listen to how beautiful these jams are. But after about 2 minutes of dope tunes and lovely sketches, it's time for gameplay. Yo, dog, you know about G? Of course I know G. It's my favorite letter. God, it got really sunny. No, man, I mean James Paul G, writer of the 36 Learning Principles, dog! Quick segue, because I can't assume all of you are as brilliant as the amazing Barry Fishman. James Paul G was an American researcher that developed 36 learning principles on how a game can teach its players. This is G. G is a G. Like a gangster. Yo. G's Corner, where we talk about G. So see how I'm just sort of in a room, and the only hint is that Mr. Fuzzywicks has a rumbly in his tummy? So now I'm left to my own devices. How do I figure out what to do next?
The probing principle, which states,
learning is a cycle of probing the world, reflecting in and on this action, and, on this basis, forming a hypothesis, reprobing the world to test this hypothesis, and then accepting or rethinking the hypothesis. So I'm like, look at that barrel! It glows, and glowy things are super important in video games! See, I explored the world that I was in and formed the hypothesis. To proceed, I have to interact with the glowy thing. So I get the barrel, and then I just... Just eat the barrel! Eat the barrel! Oh my god, I'm gonna kill you! Eat the barrel! See, while I test my hypothesis, I'm actually working with a different principle of G.
The psychosocial moratorium principle, which states...
Learners can take risks in a space where real-world consequences are lowered. So even though he won't eat the damn barrel, it's cool because the game won't punish me for it. It's cool with just letting me explore and try things. I just realized that the Frozen stuff is mirrored, but I've already recorded all of this, so sorry if that's been bugging you this whole time, but that's just how it's gonna go. And Zootopia, by the way. Love Zootopia. Signed by the cast. Using strategies such as these mean that Ico Studios wants the emphasis to be on exploration and problem solving, which makes sense for the rest of their game. The Last Guardian succeeds in its opening 15 minutes by showing you exactly what it plans to throw at you for the next 15 hours. A beautiful, albeit sometimes frustrating, game about taking in the world around you and finding the best way to appease Mr. Floppy Wumpakins. Now just eat the damn butterflies, please! Woo! Check this game out! Look at me zooming! I'm zooming! Mom, look at me zoom! And these beats are dope. So, right off the bat, Thumper shows it means business. There's no opening cinematic or introduction of a backstory of Thumper the Beetle, who's seeking revenge against Equilateral of the Triangle Tribe, who murdered Thumper's father, Paul McCartney of the Beetle Tribe. There's none of that. There's just some sick tunes and some zooming. Its tutorial is quick and exciting to immediately show you the primary mechanic of pressing a button to the beat of a song, a normal mechanic of rhythm games. It may be basic, but look at how cool it makes that simple concept. Take that, Triangle Man, I'm gonna get ya! So as the player progresses through new waves, the game adds new mechanics, giving small tutorials, such as teaching you to turn corners. After each round, you're given a grade on your performance, based on criteria of whether or not you had perfect timing or got injured by messing up an input during the wave. It's time for G's Corner, we're talking about G. G's gonna tell you stuff about learning principles.
The achievement principle,
Which states, there are intrinsic rewards from the beginning, customized to each learner's level, effort, and growing mastery, and signaling the learner's ongoing achievements for learners of all levels of skill. You see the achievement principle in games everywhere, everything from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle to Guitar Hero. The achievement principle is used so often because it sets new goals for the player and encourages replayability. You might be someone who's okay with just getting through a game and doing the best you can and then being done when it's over. Or you might have to master everything that this game has to offer to destroy it and make it submit to your incredible skill. Developers choose to add a grading system to their games because of a psychological phenomenon called the Zeigarnik Effect, developed by Bluma Zeigarnik, a 20th century psychologist and all-around awesome woman. Sometimes referred to as the completion principle, the Zeigarnik Effect states that things that are incomplete weigh heavier on the mind than things that are complete. Through time, this theory has developed to say that when there are incomplete things around you, there's a tension in a person's mind, a need to complete things. In video games, like in a schooling system, it just means that players want to do the best possible. Thus, YouTube channels like The Completionist were born. There's a reason watching his videos is so compelling and cool. It feels good. It feels nice to see Gerard complete a game. Done. I don't know, I like his stuff. Thus, within the first moments of Thumper, we already learn the mechanics and realize that how precise our actions are affect how the game scores us. A central part of the overall game. And each level we don't receive an S rank on weighs on us more and more. It makes the player want to continue the game, to get as good as possible so that they can receive the best score they can. Thumper's opening stresses precision and learning the gameplay as its central mechanic of what makes Thumper Thumper. It foreshadows perfectly what the player should expect from the rest of the game and leaves the player with a feeling that they must keep playing to get as good as humanly possible. Now, if you'll excuse me, I actually have to go play more Thumper because that game's addicting, and I got a few A's, not S's, on the first level, and I gotta go fix that. I'm still in frame, so this is just weird. Okay, so I have to start this one with a confession. I've never played a social game. I don't love strategy games. I've seen the stupid Legend 27.
The Legend 27?
Yeah, the Legend 27.
Commercial a million times and never once even thought about downloading Clash of Clans. So let's see if I had any actual right to be pretentious or if I'm just a jerk. The first thing that pops up is a warning that the game might make me pay money, which I already expected, so I at least appreciate the heads up. We then jump into something neither of the first two games had: a spoken and guided tutorial. We're introduced to random townsperson number 1, who lets us know that we are the commander of the crappiest village of all time. And before we can even read our thank you speech, goblins are here to kill everyone! Oh my goodness! The following 6 minutes walk you through how to play the game. And by walk you through, I mean points at stuff and says, click this. Now click this. Now click this. I found that once townsperson number 1 gave me permission to be presidential finally, I had no clue what to do because I didn't actually read anything she said. I just clicked where the arrow said click. Yes, that might be my fault. But a good tutorial should let you explore and begin to discover things on your own. It should create a small environment and help the player learn the rules, not yell all the information at them excitedly and quickly and then say, all right, champ, you got all that? Good, now go rape and pillage every single person around you. I mean, look at all these currencies. What do each of them do? I honestly don't know. Truly, I was so bored while I was clicking where all the little arrows told me to click that the sheer idea of having to play this game for 15 minutes seemed like an eternity. In an article entitled First 5 Minutes, How Tutorials Make or Break Your Social Game, Aki Jarvanen discusses the importance of the first moments of a social game, specifically how to convince a player to commit themselves to the experience the game is offering. Jarvanen states, as a sequence of steps where the player is guided by hand to click from one step to the next, social games tutorials create a funnel where less than 100% of those who start go all the way to the end. The rate of this kind of leakage is commonly called drop-off rate, whereas a player who has finished the tutorial and keeps on playing is added to the conversion rate. I would have been in the drop-off rate. Clash of Clans follows a formula that's similar to a lot of social games, shown in this graphic put up by Jarvanen. Many games begin their first minutes by allowing the player to enter their name or avatar, following G's identity principle of putting yourself in the game, and then walks the player through what is possible in the game. Side note, I chose my commander's name to be Roscoe, because duh. As you can see in Happy Aquarium, an arrow tool is used there as well to instruct the player exactly what to do. The graph shows that all social games typically open up to the player after the 6th minute, same as my experience with Clash of Clans. The formula seems to be effective with a lot of the population of people who like those games, and even though I'm not into strategy games or social games or pay-to-play or stuff like that, other people are, and clearly this formula has worked extremely well for developers. Like I said, game openings are important. Every game you play will have a completely different way of introducing the player to what they have to offer. I happen to really like opening cinematics and character introductions and ways of getting to know kind of the world. But then again, I'm way more about story than I am about gameplay. Everybody likes different things in their games, which is why different games have to try different openings to gather as many players as they can. Oh, ploppers. After my 15 minutes with The Last Guardian, I understood that the game was about exploration, about adventure, about looking through the world and finding the best way to bond with this new pet of yours. After the first 15 minutes of Thumper, I knew that this was about precision and that I wanted to get as good as I could at the game. And after the first 15 minutes of Clash of Clans, I understood that this was a game about formatting all of your little guys and being able to accomplish the most you can in every single task. Are any of these games' openings better than any others? I personally would say so. I don't think Clash of Clans has the best execution of how to really immerse a player into their game. But also, The Last Guardian's introduction has an art style completely different than the actual game, and I loved it. It really made me feel like I was entering a new world, and it put me in the right mood to play that kind of game. Openings can be completely subjective, as can teaching. Everybody learns a different way, kinesthetically, orally, and thus everybody likes to learn about their game in a different way. The first 15 minutes of a game are something I think is so often overlooked that it's so important to really take a look at how immersive a game can become in the first moments, and how some can't. Hey, click this! Hey, click this! Why won't you click this? So, thank you for watching this little project that I whipped up. And next time you're playing a new game, really pay attention to how the game chooses to introduce you into what it's all about. Thanks, Education 333, for dealing with my weird little project that I wanted to submit. And if you're just visiting the channel, I hope you enjoyed my analysis. Also, like, if you could encourage Barry Fishman to give me a good grade on this, that'd be, like, super cool. I'm actually not even sure if he's the one that grades it. I think one of the teaching assistants grade it. So that's true. It's innovative. It's new, right? Ooh. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Floppers out, yo. The Zeigarnik Effect was I cannot say her name. Developed by Bluma Zeigarnik, a 20th century, oh my god, I was so close.